Apothecary Diaries, Season 2, Episode 6. Oh yeah, we got discovered snorting medicine. Episode 30, the Crystal Pavilion, for the third time. It doesn't necessarily have to be bad. Should have been more cautious. Right up the nose. Yeah, as we've learned 5 minutes ago, feels like it should have been pertinent information that we all should have known earlier, but I guess it was just an unknown. Just like with the weird backwards nature of things here and the fact that it's old-timey, I bet like cocaine is perfectly fine. People just snorting crack, but, you know, not medicine. Lead is fine, but God forbid you make a medicine. It's not necessarily bad. Maybe she just wants to meet Mama. Maybe she's impressed. Mama will get away with anything. Can't you help us, Lady Gokukyo? You have power. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. Why would you waste this talent? You'd have to be pretty petty, which is not impossible, but everybody wants a piece of Mao. She's just getting shopped around to every single house. Again, Mama, I guess, also has no say in this whatsoever, as usual. I bet Jinji could do something. This mysterious western region, West China. People are largely contextual. Speaking of contextual. I was reading about it briefly because I was curious. At first glance, I thought it was that they got nicknames based on something about their personality, but it seems like these are just titles, and like you fill a vacancy and get that title, or something like that. The Western thing keeps coming up though. I feel like it's very relevant, very important detail. Now I'm looking at all their eye colors. I think I've heard of her, yeah. We're acquainted. Look, rules for thee, but not for me. The nice objection there is concern for Mao, you know, putting her at risk. But just in terms of the rules, I feel like this is going to be more the case in a society like this with such a centralized power structure where like rules are as binding and distinct as you are low in the ranking. Or it's relative, right? The emperor has a different version of rules than the common peasant. Why is this important and not just a cynical, kind of edgy, reductive take? Well, because I think it's really important to identify the game behind the game. And I think that's a template that applies to a lot more than just like the law and rules. Because I've spent a decent amount of time and I've witnessed people spending a decent amount of time and energy lamenting the fact that they're doing things perfectly but aren't getting what they want. And it's because they're probably just a little bit off somewhere about what the game is. It feels 100% correct to me that the medicine rule would be bent for Mao, given what her abilities are and what everyone's actual orientation and goals are. I also think this can get a little bit dark when people sort of identify their worth as being in line with rules, which is a really wonderful thing when it goes well, but isn't the same thing as being aligned with goodness, if that makes sense. And it becomes really obvious when those things diverge. And that's where it gets sort of dark, where people are aligned with rules because it descended from some authority. And because they get personal value out of following the rules, there is then something like an animosity for people who don't follow the rules because that's what I need to get my self-satisfaction. And that could just be like 1 degree off, right? But things can get pretty warped. Maybe good reasons. Let's hear her out. If you're asking this, knowing the risks. Is someone's life in danger? Look, if this is about saving a life, Mamo's in. Oh, wait. This is the second illness. Uh-oh. Oh? What kind of illness is that? Yeah, these head ladies are tough, man. And now we have to find her? Why is everyone getting sick? Right. Right. Cover your ass, I think is the expression for this. And it's a wise policy. Like, check with Jinshi, you know? Yeah, there you go. That looks like something that Shisui would like. What can you make out of this? Oh, she's actually going for it. That actually is pretty clever. I mean, it probably won't work, but I like the train of thought. Ning was dead. The latest victim. Man, she would have so much business in the palace if she actually figured that out. Imagine being a eunuch in this palace right now after the emperor just announced that there are no more eunuchs. What the hell was it all for? Though, like, maybe if you're a eunuch, you don't really care. It's one of those eternal loop questions. Oh crap, what the hell? She's just like popping her lungs out in a shack for 6 months? That doesn't look good. Surely this is nothing though. Surely this is gonna be fine. Oh, bringing food to the sick. You should call a doctor. You are maybe cruel. Let me not judge too quickly. But right now you look pretty cruel. Yeah, I don't know. This is not ethical. I don't know if you're allowed to do this. Oh, that's really harsh. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Man, this poor dude. Like, okay, he's a quack. There's something about that that's frustrating and maybe worthy of rebuke. But there's another part of it that's sympathetic because, you know, he's just a nice dude that's in over his head. Also, these ladies, man, they're just rough. Is this part of the exam? Did they learn this? I don't think you speak for Lady Li Hua. I mean, she does, but it just reeks of like, who are you? There's something sort of infuriating about it. What was that? Wait, who is that? Is that Mao Mao? Jinshi, say less. Right, it's not for Lady Li Hua. Need to get through you, the gatekeeper. Right. You are... Yeah, okay, right. What the hell is happening with this lady? Are they related? Oh, they've always been together, I see. Yeah, this is sort of the thing I'm trying to get at. They are acting as if they are the ones, right? Like it's them. They're sort of replaceable. Not to say the role isn't important, but there's like an over-identification of the thing. It's not as much about them as I think maybe they make it or have to make it in order to do their jobs. There's a little bit of cognitive dissonance there that is manifesting itself into her actions. You know, that's coming out maybe in an impure way. The impure consort's assistant. I mean, it just seems like this position is something that is ripe for building resentment. You know, you put all of this into it. I mean, both materially and I think just biologically. And like, are they going to really reciprocate and notice you? And if they do, is that going to be equivalent to what you're sacrificing? Because it's a really big ask. What is the anchoring there? What's it for? Not to say that that can't be there or like people can't find that or can't do it really nobly, but it seems like there are conflicting incentives there at least. It's like someone you really care about has an emergency and so you give them one of your organs in a transplant and then they just never call you again. Some people would be okay with that because they're like, well, I gave out of the goodness of my own heart. But I think most people would be like, what the hell, man? I gave you my whole organ. I thought I was gonna like get something here, you know, at least like a thank you. I thought you would like me now. No, I'm just gonna like have the kid with the emperor and now I have a lineage with the emperor. Good luck with your life, I guess. I don't know what that has to do with you. So was Li Hua chosen over her? Are you doing this deliberately? Yes. Storing what? Storage of what? Like how Mama's leading this through him. You might know that voice. She usually doesn't wear perfume. You don't fall for trends. He fled. You have a prisoner for some reason. Was that what we saw way back when? You know, like somebody crying or something, being tortured with potions? I think you've been doing something bad, Lady Shin. We found the missing girl, I guess. Were you trying to kill her as a sort of quarantine or something darker? Not that that's not extremely dark. Oof, that was dramatic. Pretty sure Lady Li Hua doesn't know about this. What's the flowers about? What did that reveal? I mean, now that she's proven herself to be suspicious, I wonder if she isn't in some way behind the ledodendron makeup. At the very least, there's motive, and now we have character assessment. I think it was the sound, yeah. So it was coughing. I mean, there are probably procedures for that, though, that are ethical. You could have called a doctor. There's something that comes across a little bit sadistic in this, right? With the ledodendron. Right, what is it with you? I see, that's the significance of the smell on her. Oh, this is the disguise? Whoa. Yeah, this is what it was. And a lady is gonna probably lose her lady license, as painful as that will be, and also maybe your life. Man, we just saved Lady Li Hua again. And more, maybe everyone? This is the perfume that was trying to kill all the pregnancies. Though, like, she would probably know that Li Hua is pregnant. It might not have been targeting Lady Gokukyo at all. Altogether. It'd be very overpowering through your olfactory senses. No, she's really good at that.
どういうおつもりですか?
It should have been me. God, I see what you do for others.
一度の訪問で見つかるなら変装する必要なかったかな。
Yeah, that was a reconnaissance mission, but we just went all the way in.
覚悟してたんだけど。
And we just used the quack doctor as a pawn.
病人を看護した服で歩いて病が広がってはいけませんから。
Is this the last of the illness thing? It's another problem in the works. See, this is why rules don't apply. This is why we break the rules for Mao Mao.
追奨級の次女頭で
Cousin.
リファ様のいと
She
こ
was
で
a
も
candidate.
面差しがどことなく似て目を引く誇り高そうな美女だ。
And the resemblance probably bothers her inside. Why not me?
美しい花は
I'm pretty.
一箇所に集めた方が目を引く。身分で考えても中級妃に召し上げられておかしくない。 本人も
Right.
それを分かっているはずだ。
Yeah, it's eating at her. There's that saying, comparison is the thief of joy. One framing for this that I think is interesting is observing pain and life satisfaction as a function of your self-assessment in any particular area compared to your expectations in that given area. So like, you could actually be really low and terrible in a thing and be thrilled with it if your expectations are lower than your actual assessment point. But then you can be fantastic at something else and it can be the biggest source of pain in your life because you're just not quite where you think you should be or what you expect it to be, or what you're telling yourself is the point at which you'd finally feel satisfied with yourself and you'd have the identity that you crave, etc. Strangely enough, this is maybe related to my earlier point that was not so relevant at the time about the rules thing, right? About how people identify with that, not quite understanding games. One way you see this a lot is people really want to believe they're smart, but then often you're not really meeting the standard of what you think a smart person should have accomplished, and just huge potential for devastating cognitive dissonance there. I'm so smart. Why do people that are on my scale stupid have the things I covet that I'm struggling to even remotely get close to, money or romance or whatever it is? Why don't people see how smart I am? And here with Liwa's cousin, I'm the beautiful one, I'm the special one, I'm best lady, but something has to give. And because in this framing it's a comparison of expectation versus reality, initially it appears like you have two choices. You can lower your view of yourself and just see yourself as where you are, because the reality is just the reality. See it as a process if you're still getting there. You can also lower your expectations, which is sour grapes if it's not genuine, but also could be genuine. But then there's also like sort of an option C choice or beyond this choice where you can find something more important. You're probably wrong that this thing itself is going to give you that value that you're looking for. It probably is a superficial thing, right? Like being smart, or what it actually probably more often is being thought of as smart and having an excuse not to have to like do difficult things and eat some blows and do the work to actually do the things that are really valuable that actually are difficult and require sacrifice, and anchoring yourself to something more valuable, more enduring than like what people think you are, or this mistaken assumption that being in a category confers upon you everything you'll ever need, like perhaps you were promised and that you wanted to believe. And if not, you end up sort of bitter and salty and also not really getting any closer to that standard you've set for yourself. And other people who are just sort of more natural about it, more free-flowing, just are less encumbered, and they end up getting to that thing much more naturally in sort of an infuriating way. And suddenly you're rationalizing all these weird things, like the people who are succeeding in the ways that you wish you succeeded got there because they're bad, they're doing something wrong or evil or devious, whereas you're great, you deserve it. It gets weird and sometimes dangerous.
禁止された交易品で何をしようとしていた?
何のことか分かりません。
I don't know whose potions those were. What
何
potions?
が置いてあるかまでは知りませんでした。
I don't know.
それが罪
I just learned about it myself. There are potions in there?
隔離したことは罪ではない。
Right. Well, I mean, it should be. It was sort of, okay, I guess officially.
いきなり
The
や
law
ってきて
and morality are not the
リファ
same
様に合
thing.
わせろと言った挙句、他の宮の
You're the
者を
criminals.
漁る方が問題では?
You're the invaders, not me. I'm innocent. Poor, innocent Sheen.
朦朧としていた下女の発言をどこまで信頼できますか?
熱に浮かされていたことは知っているのですね。
Oh, so you've been in there. You don't know who you're contending with right now.
それな
I
ら
wouldn't
体
lie for the
に
Mao
氷
Mao.
の匂いが残っていてもおかしくありませんね。以前は香油の匂いなどしなかったシンさん。
Yeah, you don't like perfume. You don't follow trends. You're better than
これ以
that.
上出過ぎてはいけない。
There's actually a lot for Mao Mao. She's like almost directly pointing a finger, which she hates doing.
腹の立つことはあるもの。
Yeah, but I think she crosses those lines when people's lives are at stake. I think we know where Mao Mao's ethics are.
果たして滲み出るほど強い匂いでしょうか。
Was that the box that we saw? Wait, because there was a mystery box last episode with the foreign emissary. She was just staring at a box and like, I see how it is. It was oil in a box? Perfume in a box. You're scary, Mao Mao. This is nothing.
大したことはありません。
You should see my leg. Did she deliberately take that? Was this a plot?
私に任せてもらえないかしら。
Oh.
リファヒ。
この者の罪状はどうなるのでしょう。
Death. Or worse, stripped of her ladyhood. Laundry service. Ugh. like a peasant.
仮に堕胎罪を作ろうとしたならば帝の子を殺すのと同義です。
That sounds
そ
bad.
れはどの妃の子であってもですか？
Yes.
真の狙いが私であっても。
Yes. Any
リヴァ
concubine.
イ、それは
I guess this is her reveal.
リファ様の服、玉葉様が着ている服に似ている。
Yeah, we were focused on Gyokuko, but it was Liha who was pregnant
意図的にそのようなものが集められていたのだ。
by the head lady.
次女頭の真に。
Yeah, once again, like, there's just too many people and too many failure points.
国母としてふさわしくない。そう思っていたんでし
Yeah,
ょう。
you were a rival. It was a unilateral rivalry.
どちらが妃になるか。
That's incredibly unfair. Also, to be that close is infuriating. Liha seems to have known this. This is not something that's just coming out now. So why did she keep her around?
そういうところが昔から嫌いなのよ。
I would hate it if you confirmed that actually you were better than me in ways I've written off as unimportant.
なんで周りはみんな
Because you don't get the game.
胸の大きさが、いや、妃としての器が違いすぎる。
Also, breast size, yeah. It might just come down to breasts. Realistically, that's possible. But, I mean, breasts are not the only thing where there's a massive size difference here. Compared to Shin, Liwa has really, really big charm. It's funny that I accidentally hit on this in this episode, but like Shin is not understanding what's important. It does feel exactly like that sort of identity game. I was thinking about this recently with critiques I've heard, you know, like people will critique certain works of media or art on like, it doesn't even have this thing. But then you look closely enough, that thing was something that somebody said once, it was in a textbook or like a trending YouTube video, and it just sort of made the rounds and it became the stand-in for what really mattered. But there are probably deeper levels to why certain things work in media and why we're drawn to certain things. And they're not going to pass every sort of rationalized test of them. So if you're overly attached to the model that like felt good to figure out, and that's just where you stay, right? There's no more wandering, there's no more exploring, there's no room for that to be wrong. Well, if it isn't actually the thing, there's going to be a clash between what you think intellectually is good and what other people just really like and find beauty and meaning in that you're missing. And also those people are not going to recognize or respect your intellectual take because you're not getting it. I say this at great risk because it's applying to myself as somebody who talks about media, but that's not fun. It's not fun for you or for the observer. It's sort of boring. I don't know. I like it. It's a fun show. Actually, very easy, simple example of this is when people call things childish. That doesn't necessarily say what you think it says. It's not as meaningful of a statement as it might appear. It often feels like that's an inherited distinction. So what? You know, like what are you actually saying and what actually matters? There is a reason why Lady Liwa was chosen. And maybe it was her boobs. But I also have seen enough of Liwa to think that that's probably not why she stayed. You know, there's a lot of concubines. I'm sure many of them have big, if not bigger boobs. But Liwa is, you know, number one or number two for something else that the Emperor understands and that Shin can't because of her pride and arrogance.
それでも感情に支配され間違いを犯す愚かな人間は
Yes.
5万といる。
Yes.
神様もまたそのような人
I guess so. Arrogance is a hell of a
当
drug.
主の娘だから
No, see, this is all wrong. All these assessments are wrong.
国母になるべき人だったのよ
There's also great irony in the fact that it's actually not about who's better, but like because she makes that comparison, it suddenly becomes true and Liwa is better than her, if that makes sense. You know, a similar pattern to Socrates is the smartest man because he knew he knew nothing. This sort of sounds like a confession. Maybe that's just
それ
me.
は自白と捉えて
Oh yeah, Gigi also. All of you will not have children. All of you will breathe the toxic perfume. Nah, that's not gonna fly. Not with Gaoshin around.
看護先が汚らわしい離せ
I am neither filthy nor a eunuch.
帝をよほどお慕いしているのです
Is this love? This feels like
当たり前
charity.
じゃだ
I don't know.
何を言うの
I don't think you do love him. I don't think this is love. I don't know if you know what love is.
国母という立場を愛しているように見えましたので、
Uh-huh. Yeah.
リファ様と違って
This very well could be it. Yeah. Look at you. I mean, look at you. Look in the mirror. What about this is better than Lihua? And now Lihua's gonna give her some kindness, which is gonna just
そんな
nail
風
that
に
in
思っ
more.
ていたのね。真。
Or a slap in the face. But with love?
この次女頭は主に暴言を吐きました。
This might turn out to be some sort of mercy
私が
somehow.
手を出してしまうほどに。
She's trying to save her life.
自分の玉の尾のついえるのを待つ
Also true, yeah, yeah. And she's standing up for herself.
今後一切高級への立ち入りを禁じてください。
I think this is a mercy.
逆恨みしたところで秋分で高級を追い出された
Someone like this would be more resentful because of the kindness, as crazy as that is.
二人が並び立つ日は来ないだろう。
Maybe we should kill her. There's enough trouble in the palace. There are enough people plotting without like one more lady. I don't think that's right. I just think that is a thing you might think. Logistically, I'm against killing for logistical reasons. But logistically, that might make some sense.
平気ですよ。薄皮一枚ですし。
そういう問題じゃない。
Thanks for having my back,
こんな
Jinchi.
上等な金に
Jinchi
気
sort of
をつけるのはな。
went out on a limb here, right?
変装していたくらいだし 最初から分かっていた
Something
わ
about
け
the
ではない。
plants. You built, there were plants there where there weren't plants
目
before,
星はつけてましたよ。
and the smell of perfume.
目印があったので。
The plants.
あの庭木が
はい。本来あの花はほとんど赤なんです。なのに白い花しか咲いていない。
Uh-huh.
誰かが選んで植えたのでしょう。
Uh-huh.
なるほどな。
Yep.
それに
I'm waiting for this to make sense.
種に詰まっている白い粉が堕胎剤にも使
Oh,
わ
you
れるん
just
で
like
す。
gave it away. You just advertised it.
神様はなぜ香油が堕胎剤になることを知っていたのでしょう。
Good question. Good follow-up.
この高級の中に香油型滞在となることを吹き込んだ人物がいると。
I can think of a few candidates.
用心するに越したことはないかと。
I think it's wise to be somewhat suspicious. I mean, I get a little bit paranoid in this show, but some suspicion feels warranted.
物置にいた子どうなりました
This is the girl bringing her food,
高
right?
級を出て治療を受けるそうです。リファ様の申し出だ。責任は自分にあるか
This
らと。
happened in her area, yeah. She also has been a patient herself. And a single white blossom.
あのクス氏が来ていたようだな。
はい
Oh, it's the Emperor.
彼女には助けられてばかりです
Yep, that is true. And other people, and many other people. She does great work. The Emperor seems
どうなさいま
deep
し
in
た
thought.
いや、
I'm just thinking about how great it'll be when all these ladies can read. That's what's on my mind. As the generous, great, cat-loving emperor that I seem to be, despite what you might expect otherwise. What's on your mind? He knows something. He knows more than we do. Ominous, creepy. What role do the foreign emissary cousins, twins, whatever they are, the sisters, play in this? Because I think they had that box of perfume. I don't know. They're suspicious and they're trying to approach the emperor. I mean, it stands to reason that if there's a vacancy in the consort, the emperor replaces them with someone. We've seen that happen already with Aduo. So it does seem like it's a viable strategy to like kill or otherwise remove a concubine if you think you would have access to that spot, or if you think you can get someone into that spot that works for you. You know, which also would make sense why Jinshi is a target. The obvious assumption would be that his lineage makes him a target, but it could also just be that he's the manager and he's overseeing it really well. And it just seems like the concubines are an avenue of attack for the emperor. That was a crazy episode, how quickly Mama just got to that. I mean, even to her own surprise. It was really fun, really cool. These ladies, especially the head ladies, they seem to be causing issues. This seems to be a problem. I mean, a similar issue emerged with Gokukyo's head lady a while back. I think she's dead now. Now this, and also the poisoning of Lishu, though that seemed a little bit less malicious and more just stupid. But yeah, the incentives are there to just put a target on anyone's back that is this close to the emperor. And like, of course, Mama with her skills is going to get pulled right into it every single time.